Okay. For the attendance, Councilor Capone.
Here.
Councilor DeFlorio. Here. Councilor DePiero.
Here.
Councilor Hanlon.
Here.
Councilor Marchese.
Here.
Councilor Matusky.
Here.
Chairman McKinnon.
Here.
Councilor McLaughlin. Councilor Napolitano.
Here.
Councilor Simonelli.
Here.
And President Della Sola. You have 9 members present. You do have a quorum.
Please stand and salute the flag.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept Council McKinnon as the chairman for this meeting. Do we have to?
Motion made and seconded to make me the president for this meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? You have done so. Could you please record Councilman McLaughlin?
McLaughlin is present. Is first. Yep. You want to open that?
Yep.
Councilors?
Councilors, please. Second. Motion made and seconded to open public participation. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? You have done so. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak?
We do have one speaker on the sign-in sheet.
Could you
That's
please
Mr.
come
Slattery.
forward, state your name and title, please? Thank you for appearing as well.
Good evening, members of the council. I know there's been some discussion about the library as of late, and the mayor wants to ensure all of the residents that the library is as important to him as it is to all of you. That is why the mayor has proposed some changes for the library in accordance to the will and trust of Albert Parlin. A revision is necessary so the libraries can operate as intended by the trust. We assure you that no library branches will be closing, and no services will be reduced. The board will be staying intact, and only their responsibilities will be tailored to adhere to the trust. Assistant City Solicitor Matthew Latanzi will go into full detail Thursday at the committee meeting with a presentation at the committee meeting of the whole. Thank you.
There are no more speakers on the sign-in sheet.
Motion to close public participation.
Motion made and seconded to close public participation. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? You have done so. Is there
Mr. Chairman,
anyone-
make a motion to accept the minutes of the March 25th meeting.
Motion made and seconded to accept the minutes to the last meeting. All those in favor? All those opposed? You have done so.
We have 2 people on the sign-in sheet. Yep. First is item number 16.
Could we please take item number 16 from the calendar? Make a motion, please. Motion made and seconded to take item number 16. All those in favor? All those opposed? You have done so. Who is the petitioner?
I think the fire chief is here for that.
Could we
but
please
I'm
have the
gonna
fire
read
chief before us?
I'm gonna read that.
Okay.
Item number 16, Mr. Chairman, is a resolution offered by Councilors Wayne Matusky, Michael Marchese, Stephen Simonelli, John Leo McKinnon, that the harbor master or the operator of the Alfred Street Bridge appear to explain the operation and plans for the expected increase in vessels visiting the Encore Resort. And Mr. Colley, the chief, is here for this piece.
Could you please state your name for the record, sir?
Fire Chief Tony Colley.
Thank you for appearing tonight, Chief. Is there any questions for the Chief, Councilman Matusky?
Thank you, Mr. President. Are you the harbor master, Chief?
I was waiting for somebody to ask me why
Well-
the fire chief was here to answer that.
Well, I'm glad you're
Good job,
here,
Counselor.
and I know you have your hands full with so much going on in that area, but
I do hold the title of harbor master. The fire chief position, as history serves, has held the position of harbor master for the city
okay.
of Everett.
So you okay? That's good to know. But we were requesting the Boston harbor master, who was actually in charge of that bridge, as far as I know.
So there were a couple items and questions that were brought up in a few meetings, so we wanted to come up here and kind of maybe answer the things that pertain to the Everett harbor master's position. And actually,
And just before you continue, we are going to have guests here that we've requested. Mr. President, could you just fill everybody
I can
in on-
enlighten you if you allow me to.
Absolutely.
All right.
Councilman McKinnon can share that.
There is a document that we have from Gaming Commission. There was a lieutenant from the state police, Brian Connors, that is actually in charge of that whole area, I believe. I had reached out to him tonight, left him a phone message. He should get back to me probably within a day or two. So with that being said, we reached out to the mayor of Boston as well, had phone conversation with him. I did personally. There was an engineer that responded back to us, and now we're going to get the scoop on what's actually happening with the bridge and waterways and everything else that's going on down there. But I thank you for appearing tonight for that anyway, because it is part of your duty, sir.
It is, and it should be noted that with our anticipated increased marine traffic, that we are looking at, and the mayor is looking at moving this to a more traditional spot within the police department. The police chief should actually have control of this, because we don't have
Could I have that?
enforcement duties
Is that
in that
the corner?
aspect. This has been more of a paper title for me. I deal with some permitting processes with larger barges that come into Exxon, and some technical things as far as coastal permitting, but that's really the extent of what I've done.
On that, Chief, this is the letter from actually, it's an email form. Good morning, Councilor Brian Connors from the Mass State Police, as well as member of the gaming unit for Gaming Commission, would be willing to speak to you regarding the bridge as well as any other waterway issues surrounding Encore Resort and where he can be reached at and so on. So I reached out to him. Unbeknownst to Councilman Matusky, I just did this tonight, that's why. But we'll probably be requesting to have one of the council members sit in on those meetings as well. And rightfully so, we should be there. So we should be informed as well.
And do you want to bring up, I don't mean to put him on the spot, but if the police chief wants to
Oh, if we can have, yeah, definitely.
join me, it's...
Could we have the police chief before us? Someone make a motion? Motion made and seconded, have the police chief come before us. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. Chief, just state your name and title, please.
Good evening, everybody. Stephen A. Mazie, Chief of Police for the City of Everett.
Chief, I know from sitting in past meetings with both of you down at Encore that it's ongoing meetings all the time. Do you have anything further to ask?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of planning meetings going. They're picked up pace. A lot of them have to do with traffic, not only on our roadways, but also on our waterways. So we're in these regular meetings, and there is a plan that has to do with the bridge. And I think we're scheduled to, at some point, bring those plans up before this body.
Councilman Matusky.
Thank you, Mr. President. To the chief and the harbor master, Chief Cowley, our concern, well, the sponsor's concern on this piece is that historically that bridge is lifted when a small boat goes under it, okay? There's 3 or 4 yacht clubs on each side of it. I know the oil tankers is before the bridge, so we're not really concerned about, at this point, the LNG tankers, I should say. But it's cut down to 1 lane on both sides as we speak. It was today, and I thought it was going to be done this month. Due to some shoddy construction work there that took 6 years to do or 5 years. But we want to know how often, I know that the Encore people have developed some kind of boats, taxi boats that go under the bridge, okay? I understand that. But what about the boats that we see presently today that cannot clear that bridge? And whenever that bridge goes up, if you're on Lower Broadway at Boston Edison, it's going back to Broadway, the Rotary. Now, you know that. Even if somebody presses the pedestrian, now the overpass crosswalk thing is another matter. We're not here for that. I can see that this bridge issue is going to be a major concern. And I want to know, you know, that's why we've reached out to the Boston Harbor Master, and also to the mayor's office. We were on a collective phone call with the person in charge of bridges in the mayor's office of Boston, Councilman McKinnon and I, a couple of weeks ago. I can't see how this is going to operate. If there's 10 boats, right now, 1 boat will tie up traffic for 15 or 20 minutes when that bridge is lifted. If there's 10 10 boats coming in each direction, which you're going to get. You're going to get that. They're going to want to go to this resort and pull right up to that dock. What plan do we have to not have a traffic problem?
So I can address a few of those issues. So your concerns about the bridge are our concerns as well, and those issues are being discussed pretty regularly.
So that's in the planning stage?
That's in the planning stages, but you're not going to be allowed to bring watercraft and dock at the Encore Boston Harbor. That dock there is for those shuttles.
Exclusively?
Exclusively. There's no docking there.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, well,
Yeah, so there's no docking there. There's going to be strict guidelines in place on what you can do and where. You can't hang out there outside that area as well and drop anchor. That's not going to be something that's allowed. And obviously, we expect a high level of interest when it opens, but that should dissipate. But, we're a seasonal boating area. You're right that, the bridge does go up when craft leave those yacht clubs to go out for the day, and they come back later. I mean, that's always been the case.
And Chief, I don't know if the harbor master, Chief Carley, is aware of it. Is there somebody in that tower?
Yes.
It's
In
not
in the
mechanically
bridge tower.
operated?
No, there's a bridge tender on duty 24
There is. I've never
hours.
seen anybody in there. I mean, it looks,
Yeah, he's
It
in there.
looks a little
and he
scary
operates
when
it.
you look
There's
up
no
there.
remote station for that bridge. There's somebody on.
there's somebody in there.
on
Okay, so
duty.
somebody's actually responsible for lifting that bridge.
Yes.
Okay,
So,
because,
in the case of like a 10-boat scenario, or if they see a lot of boats, they'll try to stack the boats, and then they'll open it.
well,
and they'll
I would
run
hope
it.
so, because if you let one boat at a time go, I mean, you see what happens today. But I'm glad you're here tonight to explain, this is another phase that I believe is going to be a problem if it's not addressed. I really do. I was on my way to, my mother is in the Mass General on the way to the hospital today, and 6 construction workers pressed the crosswalk button. Okay, there's 2 police officers there. That's a 10-minute backup right on that there, okay? And I can just see this really going to get out of hand with the traffic backing up. And the bridge thing, we've got to get under control. So you're having meetings in the near future, is that it?
They've been going on. One thing you need to understand is there's regulations that are outside of our control that govern this, the passing of boats and bridges and all that stuff. So there's a whole.
Maritime law, I understand that.
Correct.
I was a merchant marine, just so you know.
That's not something we control.
Right.
But the bridge, Alfred Street Bridge, is going to be fully open. All those roadways will be fully
When is that expected to be
fully
completed?
open. Well, I believe the Alfred Street Bridge work is pretty much done, but it's down because of other work. It's down to the lane closures because of other work related in the area. But that'll be ready to roll.
So any day. Well, that's going to be a blessing to see that open up again. But I want to thank you, as one of the sponsors on this piece, for appearing this evening. But we do anticipate somebody from the city of Boston, the harbor master of Boston, who is actually in charge of that bridge opening, to be here. Is it the next meeting, Mr. President?
What we're, if
you're
I
working
may
on it.
interject, yeah, we're working on it. I just have to run it by, because there's sensitive material,
Right.
so we just have to run it by
So I'll be in
the
contact.
lieutenant there from state. Once we do that, then
Well,
we'll
at least
see
we
if,
know who the harbor master of Everett is now.
well, he's in charge of gaming commission and all that stuff too, I guess,
I
from them,
appreciate
so.
you coming
Hey,
tonight.
no problem.
Thank you, Chief.
What we'll
You're
do is, what I suggest is we should probably refer to sponsor, get the information, then put it back on the calendar if we need be. Unless we're gonna be going to these meetings, that's totally up to you, whatever you wanna do with it. That's just as a referral. I said get back to me right away, so he should.
If any other members have anything to say, I don't know. I'm very happy to get at least some questions.
Yeah. And I'm glad that these gentlemen showed up. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Can we have a motion, excuse customary thanks? Excuse customary thanks. All those in favor? Thank you. All those opposed, you have done so. What do you want to do with the piece?
Mr. President, I feel that this is a very important matter and that we should at least wait till we hear from the Boston Harbor Master.
Why don't you postpone it for the next month?
That'd be fine.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to postpone this
First
till...
meeting in May. First meeting in May.
First meeting in May.
Second. Motion made and seconded to have the first meeting in May.
And-
These
and-
individuals show up again,
I'd like a certified letter sent to the, whoever the Boston Harbor Master is.
as
to
well
appear.
as a certified letter going to the Boston Harbor Master,
Anybody else
whoever
that
they may
you-
be, as well as Mr. Brian Connors from the State Police. All those in favor?
All right,
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
thank you.
Okay. Take it out of order.
Make a motion to take item number 14.
Motion made and seconded to take item number 14 from the calendar. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Please read item number 14.
Mr. Chairman, item number 14 is a resolution offered by Councilor Rosa DeFlorio that the Planning and Community Development Department come to the next meeting to explain what information is given to new residents moving into the city.
Councilwoman Rosa DeFlorio.
I think, could we please have Tony Souza up?
Motion made and seconded to have Mr. Souza come before us. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Souza, please
Thank you.
state your name for the record and your title.
Good evening, Tony Sousa, Director of Planning and Development. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Mr. Souza, because the city is changing so much and, you know, we have so many things going on into the city, we have new people moving in, also residents of Everett, that a lot of things they don't know. So my thinking is, I mean, I want all the councilors to be involved in this. So my recommendation is if we could come up with something like this, do a rough draft, and then send it to committee where everybody has a say. The thinking is that we want everybody to know, number one, who their elected officials are, their phone numbers, the mayor, the departments at City Hall, what they can pay online, what other things that we have in the city. So is there anything that you think we could put together? Like I said, not with a lot of money, put something together and have the high school kids print it.
Sure.
You think that's feasible?
I think it's a great idea. It's something that we have been working on updating. We have an older folder that we've used for certain purposes, but points very well taken, and be happy to participate with the council, come up with some drafts, some renderings. I'm not doing this alone. It's with our folks from the communications department. Basically, in essence, almost like a marketing packet or a welcoming packet, however we want to frame it. But we are working. Sorry. We are working on a document as such, and be happy to share some drafts and have some conversation with the council by all means.
Yeah, so if you, you know, a lot of people moving in, well, a lot of people that are here, a lot of our residents, they don't have a computer, they don't use computers.
Correct.
So that would be something for them to have. It doesn't have to be anything big, nothing elaborate, it doesn't have to be fancy. We're not looking to spend $1 million, just something where people can open the book and say, gee,
Right.
where do I register my son for school?
Sure, and another
Where-
source to distribute information. Certainly, online is a way to go, but it's not the only way. And also having those documents in different languages and so on, which is something that we'd be very supportive of, and we'll be working on creating. So not only just in English, right, but also in multiple languages too.
Okay, so, thank you for the input, and hopefully we can, like I said, you could give us a rough draft and have all the
Sure.
councilors have a say, and we can send it to a committee. I just wanted this to be quick, and to see if we could come up with something like that before it did go to committee.
Sure,
so.
perhaps, we're in April now, so later this month or sometime next month, happy to come back again and have some material and so on.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman, also the city clerk would like to be invited to any meetings like that. So if you could just invite them on that.
Well, I'll leave it up to the board. I don't know if they have any further questions. If not, we can excuse Mr. Souza with the customary.
Is there any other
thanks.
questions from the
If there's questions
Councilman
for Mr.
Napolitano?
Souza, I'll yield to my counsel, my colleague.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Souza.
Good evening.
Just a couple questions. First, again, I applaud the councilwoman on the idea. I mean, there's always been discussion back and forth about how do new people integrate into the community and what means does the city do. Do you have an estimate approximately how many people come into the city, new residents each month?
I don't have that handy, but I can get that for certain.
Okay. How would you track that information?
I would confer with the clerk's office, building department. I'd be looking at a few different sources.
Would that,
registrar votes.
how would that address like renters? We don't get that information.
Let me follow up on that.
You
I
would get
don't
some-
have a solid answer on that right now. So as I said earlier, I'd be happy to see what I
Okay.
can gather for you.
Because again, if we're going to put a program together, then it should reach the people who are moving in the city.
Mhm.
And again, if we're sending it to homeowners, we can't rely on landlords to disseminate that information. It's not fair to them, it's not fair to the tenants to do that, because again, it just isn't necessarily going to happen.
Councilman Napolitano, I think our clerk had some information he wanted to share with you.
Well, I still have a few questions for the...
Okay, that's fine, but at the end of it all, he'll have
Sure.
some information for you.
And currently, what is sent? What is it that we do today? What do we currently do right now for new residents? Because you mentioned that there's old folders. What information do we send out?
So specifically, Counselor, it is not a packet that necessarily gets sent out to new residents. I may have miscommunicated that, but we do have, for example, a packet that was actually worked on with the Chamber several years back, maybe 6, 7 years ago, that we have some stock in our office, some stock downstairs as well for people that are looking for information here in the city of Everett. Clearly, that document needs to be updated, and clearly we could certainly broaden it as well. You know, with respect to access and reaching out to folks, City Hall is certainly a venue. The website is clearly a premier venue for providing that sort of outreach information. So folks that come to Everett could be a separate link and so on, but let not that be the only thing as to how we communicate. So certainly the printed material is also important as well. The mechanics of it, though, if I may, as far as how we're going to outreach and how do we tap into the new renters and so on, I know that there's some information out there that I can certainly gather, and I know City Clerk can also touch base on. I'm sure with the local census that we're working on, we also have data to that end, so.
Yeah, you might want to check the date on the information from the Chamber, because I was on the Board of Directors of the Chamber of Commerce in 2008, and that's
Yes, sir.
when we created that. We're talking 11 years ago. Now, if something's occurred since then, great. I know time
Counselor,
doesn't
before my
stand
time.
still. But, again, I know the intent is to be able to have a program where new residents coming in can get the information, where to register to vote, where to sign up their kids for school,
Sure.
what programs are available, things about the various services the city gets to offer. So I think this is a great idea, but I'm concerned, so again, I just want to make sure that, one, we have a means of being able to reach out to these people, and I'm very concerned of what's being sent. I've been involved in that before, so again, I'd also like to be I'd like to see more information.
Forgive me,
in
could
there.
you just clarify concern what's being sent? Being sent
What would be
now, or
sent.
what would be sent? Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. I think we established that nothing's being sent right now?
To new residents, no, nothing
Okay.
right now.
All right. All right, and, along those lines, you can work with, organizations like La Comunidad, some of the other areas where residents coming in, people coming in to move into the city would have a means of being able to get information how to navigate through the city. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You're all set, Counsel?
I am.
I'll give the information from the clerk now to you so that you have it, if you have any that you'd like to share,
Yeah,
clerk.
so new residents, the best way to track them for us would be definitely through our registering of voters and our new census forms, which our Executive Director of Elections and Registrar of Voters is in the audience today. She's done a great job at capturing many new people, both through programs under her office and throughout all the departments, building, my office, any school forms, new students that come in, they are required now to fill out a census form, and that goes back to them. So that would be a way to capture any new residents, because if they weren't on the form before, more likely they're new or newer residents. So that would be a way that we could coordinate with the planning department and communications to send out some of these new resident packets. I mean, it's not a perfect system, but it's something more than what we were doing. So any net positive, I think, would be great.
And along those lines, though, I mean, part of the information we're looking to disseminate is how to register to vote.
Correct.
And, so the very information that we're going to be drawing names off of aren't the same people we're trying to get this information to. And that's why I think it needs to be looking at a little deeper. If we really want people moving into the city, when there's a vacancy, we have a habitability, excuse me.
Certificate of
It
habitability.
has a certificate of habitability. We know that unit is being rented, okay? Something should go out to the occupant
Right.
of that, after that, because there's an easy way to be able to track turnover for people. Okay, and that would instruct people how to register to vote.
Right.
So forth.
Right.
Otherwise, we limit it to census, which is important. We're not telling the people how to sign up for the census. If we limit it to the voters list, we're not telling people how to register to vote. We got to get to them before that point. And that's how the program was originally intended when it was set up by the chamber, and that's what I would hope would be the intent of the new program.
All set.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. Councilman McLaughlin?
Thank you, Mr. President. I was just going to touch on what Councilman Napolitano just said, which is certificate of habitability. Everybody that rents an apartment in the city of Everett is supposed to go through a certificate of habitability process. The landlord should be issued the pamphlet during that process, so they can leave it in the apartment for the new tenant that's coming in, leave it on the counter or whatever. The new tenant moves in, they have this handy book on the counter. I think Councilor DeFlorio did a great job by offering this piece. I think it's really important. We do have a lot of new residents moving in with the new developments and so forth in our city, and it's very handy. But I know that during that process would be a really good way to be able to capture the new tenants moving into the city. They're already out there. Our ISD is already visiting these units to give these certificates, so it would make sense that we would be able to do it at that time. So I would just ask that we work with Jim Soper and Frank Nuzzo to get these books, once they're updated, in the hands of our ISD members, and allow that to be part of when they go out to visit the units that they're going to do certificate of habitabilities, that they're issued at that time. I think would be really helpful to
Absolutely.
both sides.
It's a great thing, and I think, Councilor DeFlorio and the members, and I'm really excited and look forward to working with everyone on this, because it is something tangible, and it's just an added benefit I see for outreach and so on. So
Thank you. You all set, Council? Okay. Councilwoman Rosa DeFlorio.
Thank you.
Are you the last? Is there anyone else? Okay. Thank you.
Just something quick. I'm hoping that we put a census form in there and also a registry of voters form. People got to come up here to register their cars. People moving in the city, it's not like we never hear from them. You can have these books at City Hall, okay, and people can pick them up. They come in to register their car. Are you a new resident? Maybe you don't have to be a new resident.
Right.
It could be a resident that lives in the city for 50 years that wants it.
Right.
Maybe the senior center, because they don't want to go on a computer, okay? They have everything available to them. So we don't want to make this difficult. We want to make it easy,
Right.
okay? And we want people to know who we are, what we do, and what our programs are. It's very simple. It's a simple task.
Right.
So, to me, like I said, put a rough draft together, and it will not be on this committee. So I'm going to refer this out, if it's possible, to a committee and call for the meeting a month from now, because we also have the budget hearings coming up.
Sure,
So
sure.
we want to be, I want to give you enough time, but at the same time, we do want to get this done.
Sure.
All right,
No,
so.
Absolutely, and council will also, I know, will play a key role in this as well. I would anticipate that you folks having some as well for when constituents reach out to you, or new folks in your respected neighborhoods, be a great tool to use. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Appreciate it.
excuse with the customary thanks.
Excuse customary thanks.
gonna
There's no
hold
further
here for a
questions.
month
Thank you
until
for
we get
appearing
the
tonight,
draft
Mr.
and
Souza. And then, what's
The
the motion?
motion
on
would
this?
be that I would postpone it for 1 month until Mr. Souza gives us the rough draft, and when the rough draft is given to us at that point, that night, without discussion, we'll
And
just
put
send it
into
to committee.
Okay. Just, you'll designate the committee?
Well,
That
that
evening?
evening, we'll see
Okay.
what committee it should be in,
All right.
yes.
Motion made and is it seconded to postpone this for 1 month and get the rough draft for that night of the committee, and then structure it into whatever committee you would like it to go into. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman?
Item number 4, yep. That's her. That's the correct one.
Mr. Chairman, before
He was
we take the next item, I'd like to just rise on personal privilege. When I was mentioning the chamber, I realized that the city of Everett has actually lost a lifelong resident who has had a dramatic impact on the city. I'm speaking of Bob Cataldo. So I would ask that we rise on a moment of silence out of respect.
Please rise on a moment of silence for Mr. Bob Cataldo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made and seconded to have item number 4 before you.
Item
All
number
those in favor, all those opposed? Please read item number 4.
Item number 4, Mr. Chairman, is an order offered by Councilor Richard J. Delasola Jr. as president. In order to designate Linda Angiolillo as a special municipal employee in accordance with MGL Chapter 268A, Section 20B. I can explain.
Councilman McLaughlin was first.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I would, if City Clerk Cornelio would explain this to us before inviting up the individual, we might have questions for her, but I think he could give us an overview of why this is before us this evening.
Yes. So this is, as you know, we have a election commission board. Currently, there are only 2 members of 5 serving because of some resignations, and sheets are coming out in a couple weeks. I need another member to start voting, making, policy. Also, we need at least 3 members to stamp all the sheets when they come back. The most fitting person, in my opinion, that has the most knowledge day one, that can do the job and help us on the board setting policy would be Linda. She has served for, 15 years in this position, both in this city and in the city of Melrose. We posted the job and we received 2 applications. One was hers. The only way that she can serve on this position is by designating her a special municipal employee under this section, because under state statute, no current employee or any municipal employee can serve in another position without satisfying this requirement. So it has been signed off by the mayor, and it has to be approved by the city council, and then either I or the president of the city council will sign off on it this evening, so that way I can hold a meeting next Tuesday as I'm supposed to.
This is Mr. Clerk, so through you, through the chairman to you, if you can answer a couple of questions on this. One is, what would be the designation of her hours during her regular workday?
No,
these hours
these meetings happen after work hours.
Okay, so
so it'd be after hours. There's requirements, so the only way that she could serve in this position, the city solicitor and I had to attest that, all the requirements were met, and we believe all the requirements were met. We made sure with state ethics. So, I mean, there was a lot of questions we had to answer, and they were satisfied with our answers.
Okay. And then the second thing is regarding compensation. There'll be, members are paid on this commission,
There's a stipend on the
correct?
board, correct.
A stipend on this commission?
Yep, almost every board has a stipend.
Okay. And that's okay to be able to?
Yeah, that's why, it's one of the biggest reasons you need to do this. But even if it was unpaid, you still need to do this.
Okay.
Yep. So we made sure, like I said, I had to answer all those questions, or myself and the city solicitor. We went over all of them a few weeks back.
Okay, so I won't continue to ask my question, but...
And this is not the only person we've ever done this for. This has been before us many, many times. Ms. Shalsey downstairs does it, and there's dozens others that have done it. Sometimes we come into a position where we either need someone, or there's a better fitting person that's already under our noses, and it just makes sense. And this fits both of those criteria.
And just as far as the Elections Commission members go, when did the resignations happen, and how have we advertised for new members?
They honestly gave me the letters about 2 or 3 weeks ago, but they were effective April 1st, so it's only been 7 days. Okay. So we're moving, I'm trying to move as quick as I can.
And that's through your office that you'll be appointing new members?
Don't forget, all appointments come through the mayor. So I'm just helping because the resignations under state statute have to be given to the clerk. Anyone that resigns has to resign, not only to the mayor, but I need to take the original copy. That's just state statute.
So have we had anybody apply for the new positions?
To the commission positions?
Yes, in the
there
7.
were 2, and they were both in-house.
Okay. So there's not a residency requirement for members? So,
there isn't, but she lives in the city anyway.
okay, but overall, it's okay, not even talking about her, but
yes.
beyond
The board, every board is
I know there's a
different.
party affiliation, right? You have to have
There's party
a certain-
affiliation, not a residency. There's a difference.
Okay.
And we do need, that's why I'm still searching.
A Republican
'Cause, yes,
both.
that is what I'm missing. So we're still.
Good
going
luck
to
trying
be
to find
continu- we're going to continue to search.
You all set, counsel? Thank you.
And
I have 2 more speakers, but Councilman Matusky.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the special municipal employee order has been done over the years So that, in fact, as the clerk mentioned, there is a woman that works at City Hall, and she's also a poll worker. So she has to get that designation. So I don't want to say it's a simple task here, but this young lady is new to the position. She's done a wonderful job. I have sent people who have a little bit of a language barrier, Mr. President, and to her office, and she bends over backwards for everybody. And I'm so happy that we have a register of voter director that knows what she's doing. She's worked in other communities, and I'm happy to support this evening. Thank you.
All set, Counsel? Favorable action, that's it, okay. You're all set, Councilwoman, with that? Okay. All right, motion made and seconded for favorable action. All those,
Wait, I do need a
roll call vote on this?
Yes. Counselor Capone.
Yes.
Counselor DeFlorio. Yes. Counselor DePiero.
Yes.
Counselor Hanlon. Yes. Counselor Marchese.
Yes.
Counselor Matusky.
Yes.
Counselor Chairman McKinnon.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Napolitano.
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays. You have passed the order. Congratulations.
A motion to take number 13 off the schedule
Motion made
here.
and seconded to take item number 13.
And also
the
to
calendar.
invite the chief and the city solicitor here.
Please invite up the chief of police and the city solicitor, or the assistant city.
Yeah, the assistant's here for this.
Okay.
Item number 13, Mr. Chairman, is an ordinance offered by Councilor Michael K. Marchese, that in addition to the nuisance panhandling law be added as follows. It shall be unlawful for any person to beg or solicit money or aid in his own behalf in any place of business, house, or upon any of the streets of Everett.
Please state your names and titles, please, for the record.
Good evening, members of the council. Keith Slattery, Assistant City Solicitor.
Good evening, Steve Mazie, Chief of Police for the City of Everett.
Councilman Councilman Marchese.
Yes, as the piece that would be adding here, it would be number 9 on this. It says, any person in violation of this ordinance shall be subject to a background check by the Everett Police Department. This would be to anybody caught panhandling on to any of these above reasons, I believe, are considered panhandling. And I spoke to Attorney Slattery, and he would give me an up-to-date if we can do this, and also with the chief, if we could. Attorney Slattery?
Sure. So, as we discussed, we know that there's constitutional issues to this type of solicitation, panhandling, and the city has an ordinance about aggressive solicitation, and some of the aggressive acts involved in solicitation that will be a violation of that ordinance would be intimidating someone into giving money, touching them, blocking their way, following them, or threatening them in any way. We know that this type of solicitation is restricted on private property. You can't do it on private property, but where it's constitutionally protected action is on public property. Now, that being said, in speaking with Councilor Marchese tonight, I just learned that Section 9 was going to be an addition, so I did consult with the chief briefly, and I know that he's got some comments on it. So.
Okay, and forgive me, because I just saw this in depth not too long ago. So this Section 9 about a background check, I don't know if that's the right terminology, but we wouldn't, that term to me, background check, is like, we do a background check or a background investigation on an employee we're going to hire. That's a pretty thorough, exhausting check. We wouldn't do something like that on someone on the streets. We'd be doing a in-house check in our system, if we're not already familiar with them, basically see if we've had contact with them, what kind of contact issues we've
That's
had.
what I'm heading towards on this. I think that'll be a great, it'll be a great detriment to probably the increased panhandling we will have once this casino opens. I just trying to think of something we can do to, if someone's out there that may have a sketchy past and they know that there's a chance if they're violating any of these, they could be pulled over there and have
Yeah,
a
so-
background check. And I think that alone will eliminate half the people that'll be out there soliciting money or whatever they solicitate. Plus, we don't know who half these people are. We don't even have a face to half these people who are out there. And you know how things are. I mean, we had recent stabbing by some not, that's all we need, is something to happen to somebody coming to our casino, that we're, we don't know who's out there soliciting money. So just trying to find something that'll stop some of it, or prevent some of it. I mean, that's what this piece is all about.
Chief, would it be a CJIS check? Like a CJIS check?
So we would do,
Okay.
well, we do an in-house, well, here's the deal. We're familiar with most of the people on the streets that would be engaged in panhandling. If they're new, then we get to know them. But once they're known and they are out there, you keep in mind, many of these people are suffering from mental illness, alcohol or drug problems, addiction problems, and then we utilize any other city ordinances or statutes we have available to us to address some of those issues. But as Attorney Slattery said, I mean, some of this is protected activity, speech and activity, so we have to be careful how we do it. Like, anybody touches someone else, that, there's laws on the books, assault for that. If you make a threat to assault someone, we have enough to address those issues. So that's why I just wanted to see like what your concern is. I see what you're saying now with the casino and potential issues with folks like that. The good thing is, again, we know most of them. It's a small group of people we're dealing with now. May there be an increase? Yeah, there may be. Yeah, so those people, we would run a warrant check. We may check our system. Yeah. I just don't want to leave an impression we're going to do a full background investigation. That's not what we would do. Yeah. Well, if there's a high presence of us around, they don't usually want to hang around with us anyway, so to move along. Yeah.
I see it all day long, people being harassed. I mean, and I'm sure if there was a warrant on half the people that were out there, they would be back the next day.
Well, as the chief's explaining, I think just the term background check's too broad, so if you'd like us to take a little bit of time to come up with some language.
That would be great.
for you
It would actually be a CJIS check, correct, Chief?
Yeah, that's
Something to that.
probably a more,
That would probably
term.
be more in line of it.
yeah.
Background check would be 9 months. We're not doing that.
So,
The chair knows a lot about this.
Just a little.
he's been background checked a few times. So what would you recommend here on this piece without beating us to death? Refer this to Mr. Slattery, to the chief?
CJIS check is probably the most efficient and gets to the point.
Can we add procedures check here tonight?
Yes.
And put this in here instead of
it's
sending
only
it
up for
if we
enrollment.
agree upon?
I think it's enforceable, it's up to the chief.
Yeah, see, it would be we'd be striking out, so where it says shall be subject to we're just gonna strike out background.
Put
and
procedure?
No, the word is, it's an acronym, it's CJIS, capital CJIS. And that's the systems we use to check someone's, if they're wanted, as outstanding warrants.
So all you have to do is amend it to say, any person in violation of this ordinance shall be subject to a CJIS check by the Everett Police Department.
Check.
Yep.
Can I put that in the form of a motion here?
And I have it.
That we amend the background check to CJIS check?
CJIS check, yep.
We're going to strike out background and put CJIS.
Yep. I have it drafted already.
Okay. Do we have to, all in favor?
Motion made and seconded?
Second?
Motion made and seconded to strike out the words
Background
check and add in their place CJIS check.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Motion for favorable action.
I have
What?
speakers still on
Okay.
this,
We still have-
so are you all?
I'm finished. 'cause
Okay.
they
Thank you,
changed it.
Counselor. Councilman McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, through you to our chief. Chief, I was stopped at a local breakfast place in the last couple of weeks that told me that they've had a large number of panhandlers hanging outside of their facility, and they've called the police to ask for help. And the police have said that there's not much they can do to try to move these individuals along. They said that they would send a cruiser down, and they just don't come. And they're intimidating people, and they're standing in front of the doorways, and it's becoming a real nuisance to some of these local businesses in the city. And I can give you the name of the business off of the agenda. You know
who that is.
Yeah, absolutely, can do that for you. But I'd just like to see if you can talk to the officers that when they do get these calls, because I think just by going by there and making a presence known, these guys or women will move along. They'll get the hint and move along. But they had called several times in the same day because there was a couple of individuals hanging around their facility, and there was no response. And the police said that there was nothing that could be done. There was nothing they could enforce. But hopefully with this language,
Hold on a second. Did they respond or they didn't respond?
they didn't know the officer on the phone. The officer on the phone when they called the station.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Chief. The officer on the phone said that there was not much that could be done to move these people along.
Well, that would have been I mean, if they're calling, that's going through dispatch, so.
Okay.
Unless they called headquarters.
I'm not sure if they called 911 or the business
Dispatch should
number.
be sending the officer to assess who exactly is there. They shouldn't be making that
Okay.
call that judgment call over the phone. We'd like to obviously be there. They're not wrong in saying there isn't a whole bunch. If they're just simply saying, hey, do you have a buck? That's not illegal. I mean, if they're not
Yep.
aggressive, not touch anyone, the person says no, no thanks, and moves on, there is not a whole
I
bunch.
think this incident, I can talk to you about after, it was a little bit more aggressive than you know,
Okay.
a pleasure experience for both the business owner and the patrons in the facility.
I would just encourage, if you speak to those people, if they don't like the response they get, to call headquarters and ask to speak to the officer in charge.
Okay.
If it's a service issue, if they don't get service.
Okay.
Please.
Great. So, but if you can just ask your officers that if they can make more of a presence and be known on the main streets, especially on the weekends, to try to move some of these individuals along, we would appreciate it. And hopefully with this new language of the CJIS going in effect, hopefully that can give them some teeth or some help to be able to move these individuals along and see who they are and being able to identify them a little bit better.
Just, I want to make sure you're not under the wrong impression. So just because we do a check on someone, if there's nothing, and they're not wanted, and they're not, if they're simply asking for money, and someone calls on them, and they're not touching someone or hurting someone, and they're not wanted, there is not a whole bunch we can do. I mean, yeah, we can stand next to them, and usually that makes them go away.
Right.
But I don't want you to think that,
I think a simple doing a check on an individual is going to deter them from coming back after that one episode.
some it will.
Even for them to be
happens.
subject to a check, though, they'd still have to be in violation of 1315, which is the aggressive solicitation ordinance.
Who clarifies what's aggressive solicitation versus?
this is new, correct? Has this-
Right. So,
This hasn't come out yet.
no, I'm just kind of referring to Assistant City Solicitor Flaherty. Flaherty, excuse me. Who would who would make that determination of what was? So because they're not going to be there when that episode had occurred, so they're not, you know what I mean? It's not going to be.
It's a tough, I'm not going to lie, it's a tough issue.
gray
These are-
area,
these are
so
tough
I'm
issues.
just hoping that our police can actually step up a little bit more on it and just try to be more, not aggressive, but more eyes and more awareness on this for the business owners that are suffering with some of this happening in front of their
To
facilities.
trigger and then pull it away from a protected speech under the Constitution, and there's a lot of case law on this. A lot of cities, similar ordinances have been struck down that try to just ban panhandling outright. It would have to rise to the level of this aggressive solicitation ordinance, which would involve basically some kind of secondary crime, an assault or a battery or something like that, so.
It's all bad.
But I think through you, gentlemen, Council Marchese had an ordinance that another state had put into place. Is it Savannah, Georgia, Councilor?
Well, that's probably going to be the next one to fall. Everyone now is following a constitutional case called Reed versus the town of Gilbert, Arizona. And Worcester and Lowell have just had their solicitation and panhandling ordinances, I think, rendered invalid or taken off the books totally. So it's happening. This is the law of the land. So if they're on public property and they're just asking for money and they're not committing, basically, I think what the chief would say is a secondary crime, an assault or a battery or something like that, then it is protected speech. It rises to the level of intimidation or anything else, then that's, I think, when your Section 9 would then be triggered. So the responding police officer, I don't mean to speak for the chief, would have to make that determination based on the evidence collected, including the call, and find out whether there is cause to make further investigation.
And I agree with
What is the
Councilman
penalty?
Marquez.
I'm sorry, I didn't see, what is the penalty? I mean, if they're not wanted, what is the penalty under this ordinance? Is there a penalty?
Not yet. This, so everybody understands, I think this is still in the works, and correct me if I'm wrong.
No, aggressive
Or is it-
solicitation's on the books.
Okay, so it's on the books. What is the, what's the
Aggressive
penalty?
solicitation is a fine in accordance with 1-8. Do you remember, Chief, we had worked on some of this because, for some of the other, the solicitation companies that come before.
Well, that was the door to, so door to door, they
Yeah,
gotta get a permit.
but it was very-
And
yeah.
I'm pretty strict on the
But they're all,
guidelines.
but they're all fined in accordance with 1-8.
Oh, okay, all right.
So you could be
So-
given a ticket.
1-8 is our.
For you, Mr. Clerk, did you just
So,
say they're all
with-
listed
with-
under 1-8?
Generally, almost all our fines, in municipal fines, are under 1-8, unless there's specific
So they
building
could
runs and stuff.
impose
But
a fine.
general fines in our municipality, all the licenses that come under me and you, all 1-8.
How would they be,
That's the
actually,
fine structure.
Counselor, the question would be is how would they be issued under 1-8 through the police?
Or their
So,
license or whatever, right?
that's, they would have to
If
do
they
some
have it.
searching to get it.
If they
Okay.
had it.
You
or-
can start to see how this is a complicated matter.
I have other, Counselor, are you finished? Thank you. Councilman Matusky.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You got it.
You know, I brought up, Chief and Attorney Slattery, a few meetings ago. I had some friends go to the Springfield Casino, MGM. There are panhandlers all over the place. Okay, that's a fact today. And it was very intimidating to these people. They don't ask for change anymore. They ask for, as the chief said, a buck. And I find that offensive myself. But because we are the host community, and so is Springfield for their casino, the state legislator the Gaming Commission might have to develop some kind of a law for this community to prevent the inundation of people are going to come from all over the country, all over the world here pretty soon. And we have to be prepared. This is a small, I know to some people, we're picking on people that are, have a drug issue or an alcohol issue or a homelessness issue. It's not that at all. You know, it's a small area where this is going to be. Everett's only 3 square miles, come on. We're going to have a lot of different people here. So we may have to ask for special law through our state representative and our state senator to present this to the Gaming Commission to come forward and give us some relief. This is going to happen. There's no question. We don't have the casino open now, and what is it, 7-Eleven across the street here? I don't think I've been in there without somebody asking me for change, and in front of Dunkin' Donuts, Walgreens. It's intimidating, and you feel bad for these people, and I sometimes do give them money, but that's going to become a whole different ballgame when the casino opens. We may have to have through the Gaming Commission a no solicitation or no panhandling district area for the city, the entire city. We have a special case now. There's only, 2 casinos in Massachusetts? 4? Well, full casinos, not a slot parlor. This is the real deal here, coming very shortly. We have to be prepared. That's why we're bringing up this bridge issue. That's why we're bringing up a lot of this stuff. Hey, we only got a few months to go here. We've got to get things under control because I know through friends of mine that were at MGM just a few weeks back, the place is swarming with people, and they got the sign held upside down. You got, and there should be a law against impersonating veterans. That's another thing. There are some people that claim that they're veterans and they're not. And disability people. I mean, I've seen some things that I was amazed at. Somebody told me to look at it. But anyway, we have to be prepared. So I'm in support of this ordinance that Councilman Marchese has been pushing here. We have to get prepared because I know it's going to happen. And I support it, and I think that we might have to get our state representative involved in this and our state senator to help us in this issue. Thank you, Mr. President.
For speakers, I'm going to cap it at that, and then if it goes before anything further than that, we'll probably have to kick this into committee because it seems like it's getting lengthy. So, Councilman Napolitano.
Thank you. All right, I'm not going to get into the constitutionality of it. I realize it's a difficult issue to try to resolve. But to the chief, chair, I know, I just want to go back to what was discussed about one of our members saying that they'd called in and dispatch said they couldn't do anything about it. I know that's something that I know you're planning on looking into. Yes, I just want to make a suggestion. If you could let E911 know this as well. I have no doubt that whoever your watch sergeant, your captain's in charge of, if we call them directly about an issue, they'll send somebody down even just to make an appearance to let the person, not necessarily move them on if they can't legally do that, if they're not violating the aggressive solicitation. But again, to let them know that there's a presence. That would be the purpose of a drive-by in a situation like that. Your average resident's just going to dial 911 if they feel that there's an issue. We can't leave it up them to have dispatch say one thing, for us to go back later and ask them to, call the watch captain or call the officer in charge. It just doesn't work that way, and it's after the fact. So if there could be some kind of coordination in that respect, again, we can't violate anybody's rights, and we're not looking to do that. And if they're being aggressive, it's a fine line. But sometimes just the presence sends a message that people are watching. And people that are up to no good, even if it's under the law, they look they'll go somewhere else when the lights shine on them. So even a drive-through, that's my biggest concern, is that if a resident calls about an issue, that something is done and it's not just dismissed. At whatever level it is. I know that's not your plan and your intention.
No, what you're describing is what normally takes place. I don't even know if this even happened. I mean, he's saying a business. I don't know the business. I don't know the date. I don't know the time. I don't even know if he even called.
Right.
But what you're describing is if you call for service, you usually get it. Now, sometimes questions are asked and they are answered over the phone. They might tell them it might be a case of purely they can't do anything, depending on what it is. But we usually call, to go down and assess it. I want the officer to assess it and take care of it. But that is normal protocol.
All right, and again, and that's fine, and I understand that. If something can reinforced with dispatch, which is not directly under you.
Sure. No,
that would be helpful.
Yep.
No, I don't think that your men are doing anything other than their job, and I'm not suggesting in any way, shape, or form. Somewhere, if this situation occurred the way it was described, there was a disconnect somewhere. That could be strictly between E911 and
either way, we need to address that if there is one, a disconnect.
Just for reinforcement.
Yeah.
So this way here, we're more consistent. That's all I'm looking for, is consistency.
Understood. Yep.
Yeah. Look, I know it's a thankless job. It's hard enough to do what you got to do. That I recognize. But thank you.
All set, Counselor? All right. Councilman Simonelli, he's the last one on this piece.
Mr. President, through you, Councilman Simonelli. Gentlemen, is there any license permit? I know you mentioned permit for knocking on a door. Is there any licensing permit for panhandling, and if not, is it needed?
Well, there's a permitting, you mentioned door-to-door, there's a permitting process to go door-to-door. So if you're a company who wants to go door-to-door, you have to come down, fill out some paperwork, we review it, we ask some questions. If we grant it, I'm very strict on people going door-to-door because we've had problems with either high-pressure seal detectors and our people scamming people. So, and then if we do give a permit out, that goes into roll call, and our officers know, dispatch knows who's out, are supposed to be legally going out door to door.
That's a good thing. But
we don't give a permit, though, to a person in the street.
When somebody going into somebody's business, is that the same idea as going into somebody's residence?
No.
So that they could have that?
The constitutional protection only applies to public property, public land, as soon as they go into private property. As a matter of fact, our solicitation statute doesn't allow them to go on to private property.
So if they're going into Walgreens, that's private property, could we get a door opening for that kind of a permit, chief? Like you do with the door-to-door in the
No.
residence? It doesn't happen?
No.
Any other questions, Counselor?
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
As amended.
excuse customary thanks
Wayne,
with a motion
you
for
don't-
favorable action on the order
Yeah, but-
as
Second.
amended.
So
All
you
those
know,
in
it's
favor?
as- It amended, we amended the word background, changed it to CJIS.
We already did that.
No, I just wanted
Yep.
to inform the council what they're voting on. It's already been amended, and this is for enrollment of the ordinance. As amended, Council Capone.
Councilman,
sorry.
Councilman Hanlon on the amendment?
Mr. Chairman,
Sorry.
just want to just make sure that this is right. We are amending this enrolled ordinance.
It has not been enrolled.
It has not been
This
enrolled.
tonight is for enrollment.
This here,
Yes.
this is what we're voting on.
And no, you're voting on the amendment all the way at the
Number
bottom,
nine.
not the whole
The
thing.
amendment, which is the
The number 9, last page.
Right.
That is the current ordinance, all we're voting on is the amendment.
CJIS business, like that.
Correct.
Yes.
Just item number,
What I want to know is, what happened to item number 13 on the calendar?
That's
That
what we're voting
Councilman
on.
Marchese put in.
That's what we're on.
That's number 13 that we're actually looking at right now.
It's
No,
amended.
this is not number 13. This is
correct,
already
it was,
done.
it's been amended.
It's been amended, Counselor.
Well, anyway, so I just want to make sure that number 13 is somehow going to be included into this?
It already is. So what happened is when I had a discussion with Councilor Marchese, and the language he had already in item 13 was already in existence in the current ordinance. So what we did is when he came and sat in my office, he explained what his wish was. We drafted that ordinance. Tonight, we found that background was the incorrect word, and we used CJIS. So that was the only thing that was amended. So we amended the whole piece to state as is. And it is only for enrollment, so when it goes on the agenda next week, it should have with the amendment, not the current language.
Okay, thank you.
You're very
But, Mr. Chairman, what I'm concerned with now is that I'm reading this, is what we just amended, what we want to work on. I'm looking at the calendar, and it says that no person, I'm with the whole thing, going to be allowed to petition in aid for his own self. Now, what that means to me is that no guy can come along. That's not in here. I don't see that in here. What's in here, it says nobody can do it. And I'm still concerned with the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts and the baseball team, the track team, and those people that are coming out trying to do collections. This doesn't allow them to. This says you're going to do a background check on those kids,
No.
which we can't do. That's why I think this paragraph, this aid in his own behalf, should be in there.
Counselor, should we amend that so that it does?
So that's just.
We already
just-
have that in there.
There's one
I don't see
amendment.
it. I haven't
Okay.
seen
Read
that
the
in
whole
here.
one.
If I
Is that
could.
in there anyway? Have you seen that?
If I could,
So aid in his
one,
own
the
behalf?
Girl Scouts are not part of this. So anybody, any of those youth groups and things can get a permit, which I believe are no charge from the chief of police. They inform them that they're gonna be out and where they're gonna be out. Door to door, or even on the street, they're allowed to do it. What Councilor Marchese originally initiated was language that was already pretty much in our ordinances. So that's why we drafted the new ordinance, and we kept it the way it was on the agenda, because you formally did not amend it. We amended it behind the scenes. Tonight, you're amending it to just state, Section 9. So on the agenda next week, you'll see just, the only thing that's amended is Section 9.
Right.
And that's what will be there.
So, then
So
that's
you,
what
so
I'm asking for.
your concerns are valid, but they're not to worry. That had nothing to do with it. Girl Scouts will be able to continue, Boy Scouts, all the youth groups will be able to, can and do all that stuff. That's by permit by the chief of police.
Okay. Just remember that I said it.
Yeah, no, but we've had
You are
the
on record,
discussion, and I
Counselor.
agree with you.
You're on record. Yep.
Favorable action as amended?
Motion made for favorable action as amended and seconded.
Yep.
Please read the
enrollment.
roll.
Now, Counselor Capone.
Yes.
Counselor DeFlorio.
Yes.
Counselor DePiero.
Yes.
Counselor Hanlon.
Yes.
Counselor Marchese.
Yes.
Counselor Matusky. Chairman McKinnon.
Yes.
Counselor Matusky.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin. Counselor Napolitano.
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli.
Yes.
That would be 9 yeas. Wait a second. 9 yeas, 0 nays. You have enrolled.
Mr. Chairman, could we please suspend the
As
rules and
amended.
take item number 10?
Motion made and seconded to suspend the rules, take item number 10. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, you have done so. Please read item number 10.
Item number 10, Mr. Chairman, is a petition offered by Councilor Richard J. Delasola Jr. as president, that the Everett City Council hereby approves a new mechanical repair license for Christian Auto Repair at 101 Parish Street, number 3.
Favorable
Councilman-
action on the order.
Councilman,
Thank you, Mr. President. I spoke to the businessman who happens to be in the chamber this evening. He was at the licensing committee meeting earlier. I only live around the corner, and I made it clear to this gentleman that no tow trucks would be coming down Lewis Street or the residential part of Paris Street, and he understands that. It's a mixed-use area. We've got a few pieces on here, excuse me, this evening, auto body shops and so forth, but Mr. Gere is the landlord of this property, and he's a pretty reasonable person, but I did speak to this gentleman, and we have an arrangement with Quayle Towing that no tow trucks can come down Lewis Street, or the second half of Lewis, or the first half. They have to use the parkway in the back. So, that neighborhood has a, Ritchie Slush Warehouse type of thing. We have arrangements made with some of the businesses there, and this gentleman is going to comply with that, so I'm going to vote in favor. Thank you.
thank you. Councilwoman DeFlorio. Oh, you didn't have a question? Okay. Motion made and seconded for favorable action.
Excuse me, Counsel Capone.
Yes.
Counsel DeFlorio.
Yes.
Counsel DePiero.
Yes.
Counsel Hanlon.
Yes.
Counsellor Marchese.
Yes.
Counsel Matusky.
Yes.
Chairman McKinnon.
Yes.
Counselor, I'll wait for you. Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Napolitano.
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli.
Sure.
That would be 10 yeas, 0 nays. You have passed the order. Sir, my 12 o'clock on Wednesday or later, you'll be able to come and pick up your license in my office, in the city clerk's office, room 10, okay? Thank you very much.
Motion to
Congratulations.
suspend the rules to take number 23 from the calendar.
Second.
No, he's all set, so I think we're good now.
Motion made and seconded to take item number 23 from the calendar. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, you have done so. What's the other one?
Mr. Chairman, item number 23 is an order offered by Councilor Michael K. Marchese. In order to request approval from the state legislature to amend Section 3-1 of the city charter, Mayor.
Councilman Marquez, but before you go, I had conversation with the mayor earlier. He had a medical appointment, but he stated that he wanted to speak on this piece.
Yep.
If he could hold it over or postpone it to next meeting, that would be fine.
Yep, it's not a problem. So motion be, just one thing I wanted to say on this. When the order to request approval was out before,
Mhm.
it could have been amended at any time, whether it's 4-2, 6-2s, no one amended it, it went down. This isn't amended either, and we'll discuss it, I believe, at the next meeting.
Next meeting.
But all I wanted to see if we could do it through the state, not that we're going to vote on it today. And the same with the piece that Council DePiero put on about even the term limit trust, just to see if we could do it. That was my curiosity on this whole piece. But I'm a term limit guy, and I think there should be, but I would like to have the mayor come out and speak in 2 weeks, so the motion be lay on the table. Is that later?
Postpone till
Postpone till
Postpone for
next
2 weeks for the mayor to speak.
Motion made and seconded to postpone to the next meeting within 2 weeks. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? You have done so.
25.
Motion made for item 25 and seconded to be taken from the calendar. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Please read item number 25.
Item number 25, Mr. Chairman, is a resolution offered by Councilor Rosa DeFlorio that the CFO report back to the city council at the next meeting if the city is able to create an automatic payment system for the monthly water bills.
Councilwoman Rosa DeFlorio.
I did speak to Mr. Demas quickly downstairs, and he informed me that we already do this. So if he could come up just to give a quick...
If we could, motion to invite Mr. Demas before us. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. Please state your name and title, sir.
Good evening, Eric Demas, CFO.
Thank you.
Mr. Demas, basically, people have a busy lifestyle, and you forget to pay the bill, you put it down, especially now that this water bill, I don't find it to be a problem, but we're used to paying it every 3 months. Now we pay it every month. So a lot, like me, I like to give a check online and automatically have the money taken out at a certain time. I do that with all my credit cards. Now, speaking with you, I guess you're already doing this. So could you give us an idea of how this is working and let people at home understand what can be done and how they can do it?
Certainly. And yes, we are already doing this, but it is new. We only rolled this out at the time when we went monthly billing, and we started getting requests from the residents saying, no problem with the monthly bills, but can you at least set it up on auto pay? You know, nobody really was looking to do it when you were paying a bill once every 3 months. And when you're paying it once every 3 months, it gets difficult to track what your usage is. Do I have any issues? But now that we're monthly, we reached out to the bank, and fortunately, we pulled some strings, and within 2 days, they had the auto pay up and running. So now when you actually log in on the city's website to pay your water bill, it's going to ask you, do you want to pay once or do you want to set up a monthly recurring payment? In addition to that, I didn't get to fill you in on other things that we're doing, is that the city applied for a grant to redesign our website, and we received a grant from the state to do that under the Compact IT grant. And what we're doing, we have the entire background of the website revamped, and we recently just put out an RFP, because even though we have the nuts and bolts working fine, we have very limited traffic on the city's website. We want to start maximizing technology, getting it out there, making the residents' lives easier. Now, the existing website is very similar to many other communities in the Commonwealth. So it's functional. It was done by the same website designer that's done probably the majority of the websites. We're looking for something different, though. What we're trying to do is, our main focus is on usability and making it easier for a mobile platform. So even if you're not at home on a desktop computer or a traditional computer, we want to make it easy for anybody on an iPhone or any other type of smartphone or an iPad or a tablet. So in conjunction with the redesigning of the website, which is predominantly focused on the pay platform, so that we're actually being able to get residents the ability to make payments quickly, go straight to pulling building permits through our online resources. We're also working in the development of a pay app tied into the website, so that not only do you have the ability to just go to the website from a mobile standpoint, we'll actually have an app being built as well, very similar to like a 311 app, but it's going to be a pay platform driven, so that we can make it easier for the residents to conduct their business online.
But you're still going to mail out the water bill, so the residents know.
Absolutely.
And they're just going to tell you a certain date that they want you to take it out every month. So basically, if we get the April bill, we don't have to pay it till the end of May, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So if I turn around and say I want to pay the third Thursday of every month, that's when the bill would come out?
You'll be able to set that up automatically, and we will still be mailing bills.
Yes.
You know, at some point in the future, I think as we're constantly looking to improve efficiencies and technologies, you know, a lot of businesses that are sending out bills do give their customers the option to no longer receive a paper bill. We're not discussing that at this point, but certainly that is something that we could probably consider in the future. Given the degree of changes that we've actually had, though, now is not the time to incorporate that as well. Let's get it functional, let's get it very easy for our residents to be able to conduct business, and we can take it from there.
Okay, yeah, that was going to be my next question, but obviously it's not on here. So eventually we'll be able to do the paperless bills, eventually.
If there is desire from residents, absolutely. You know, we do have a large portion of our population that are not technology savvy, so I don't ever see us getting to the point where we would be 100% electronic.
No, I wouldn't expect that.
But if we have the ability to do that, at the same time saving costs, absolutely, we're considering it. But right now, our focus really is on that pay platform, having it mobile-friendly so that people can actually just say, okay, you know what, here we go, just pull it up on their smartphone, their tablet, or their computer at home.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you, Chairman McKinnon. Hi, Mr. Demas. Pleasure to see you, as always.
You as well.
My quick question was, first of all, very happy to hear that you, as well as the IT folks, are working on streamlining a lot of this pay platform. I'm all about streamlining government services, as we all are, and making it easier for people to access those services as well. My only concern is with the water bill, it's obviously different every month. Usage, people budgeting, running tight month to month. Just want to make sure there's ample time between getting the bill and that the account is swept. Therefore, if there is an issue, they can abate it, or whatever the process might be, stop the payment, so forth.
Absolutely. We're not actually changing any of the, or the water department is not changing any of the timeframes from when bills are traditionally mailed to when they're due. But when you do go through an abatement process, what you actually do is you actually pay the bill first.
Okay.
So we absolutely are constantly working with residents and answering questions. The driving force to go to a monthly billing cycle for residents, given that we already have a large sector that are already on them, is the amount of phone calls and the issues that the water sewer department have been dealing with, you know, for running toilets and things of that nature. A lot of times what they were seeing is that a small issue that you can address within a 30-day period becomes a much larger issue when it's over a 90-day period, and then you actually issue the bills. And so this is a way for the water department to be more proactive for people understanding their usage and what's driving that usage.
Great. I'm glad to hear that the website hopefully will be driving some more traffic that can address some of the concerns about informational packets as well. More people visit the website, get more information about the city, and so forth. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Demas.
Councilman Napolitano.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Demas. Well, thank you for coming up again and discuss this issue. I know you came up last month at Government Operations, Public Service, Public Safety. We had an informal meeting. I know that's when you rolled out about the automatic payment plan. And the auto payment plan, it's based on the actual amount of the bill, right?
Yes.
So if this month the bill is, I don't know, let's say $175, that's what's going to come out. Next month the bill is $165, that's what will come out next month. So with auto payment, it adjusts based on the amount of the payment.
It's going to be based on your bill itself.
Okay. And that'll come out the same time each month? Once they set up auto payment?
I believe you can, when you set up the auto pay, you can dictate when it comes out. As Councilor Rosa said, you know, some people like the 3rd of the month. Some people like the 1st of the month. You have the ability and some flexibility when that payment comes out. You certainly want it to come out before the due date. So a lot of people have it come out 2 days prior to what the scheduled due date is going to be. I can tell you one of the other things we're working on is one of our largest online payment processors was purchased by a larger organization. So we're in the process of trying to eliminate any bugs that we have with that existing, or actually the new company. So there are a lot of things that we're trying to work out with a very large corporation who processes probably about 70% of the online transactions in the state. So we're working with a customer service reps so that we can develop that relationship with this new company that acquired the company that we were dealing with, so that when these issues come up, we can address them. So I do anticipate additional changes coming with this new pay provider, but we're staying on top of it.
All right. Now you're in the second month now of the monthly system. I know when you were before us last month, we talked about some of the issues, some of the hurdles that came up that was unanticipated, including a incorrect date supplied by the companies that create these bills. How are you finding the second month is working now? What about the lines? I know you mentioned cross-training employees. You moved the worker from Public Works up here. How is that helping right now with the customer service with our residents coming in to pay these bills?
Right now, the lines are down. The wait times are down. There are still some periods in which we have higher traffic than normal. It's a busy time of the year for us with excise bills, real estate bills going out. Since that time, we actually have had 2 additional clerks go out on medical issue, so we're still scrambling. So the fact that we're cross-training individuals is more clear that it's as important as we thought when we first started doing it. So we're just doing everything we can to mitigate those large pushes that we have, but there has been improvement.
All right, and the worker that came up from Public Works, how is that working? Now, is that one, if I'm not mistaken, that's one of the people that is out right now?
That is one of the individuals that is out.
So how do residents at this time who are disputing or have a question about their bills, how do they go about getting that addressed?
We have two other individuals. One individual we have is half of a treasurer employee and half of a water sewer employee, so that individual is here. We have had changes. She's still new, but we have had staffing changes. So the former person in that seat is still here at City Hall. Unfortunately, she's out this week with some medical issues. But in addition to that, we're also training 311, so callers, so that we have, when those times are very busy and somebody's calling 311, because a lot of times you say with the new residents, we get a lot of phone calls on 311. And a lot of times people, even if it's a water bill, rather than calling the water department, they're calling our 311. So what we're trying to do is to train individuals and give them read-only access to water bills. So if there are very simple questions that can be addressed, they can be addressed. We're also looking to expand and take a lot of those credit card payments over the phone on Fridays, because 311 is staffed on Fridays. So right now, we're just looking at our complete overall operation and seeing where we have resources that we can better utilize those resources.
All right, and the last question I have is regarding, and thank you. The last question I have is regarding residents that were charged the late fee due to the error with the billing. Have those been addressed? And if not, how does a resident go about getting it addressed?
I would have to defer to Mr. St. Louis. What I can tell you is I'm assuming that those are addressed because they're not coming to my desk. I'm not getting those problems or the people saying that they need additional help. So as far as I'm aware, Water Sewer hasn't created any concerns or shared any additional concerns with those issues not being addressed. I know that I had individuals in my office work with Water Sewer and the SoftWrite company to address those issues and to address basically the interest payments. Excuse me. I know that my staff has done that. I've received confirmation that everything that we've asked the software company to do, they have done. So I haven't heard any real complaints or further action that needs to be taken. I think when we issue this next bill, that's going to be issued very soon, if it hasn't already, we're going to start hearing if people still have some concerns. But my understanding is that's been fully addressed. But I'm just not aware if the Water Sewer Department has had any additional issues.
Okay, my concern would be that if a resident who was assessed a late charge erroneously, if they're able to tell from the latest...
Counselor, please wrap it up a little bit.
Excuse me, it's on the same token as the water bill, and I am wrapping...
Just wrap it up, please, a little bit.
No, actually, it has to do with late fees on the water bill, so it is about the water bill, and the council, and our guests...
Through the chairman, please. Through the chairman.
I am talking to you through the chair.
Okay, I couldn't see you because someone's in
Well,
front
that's,
of you.
again, I am looking directly at you.
Oh, thank God.
And again, I'm just
Now
trying to
I
get...
can notice you.
All right, well, again, this
Could
was
you
my last...
please wrap it up, sir?
Again, this was my last question. I'd have been
Okay.
finished by now. All I want to know is that, can a resident who got the second monthly bill, who was charged a late fee, will they be able to tell from that bill that the late fee has been addressed?
They should see that either there would be the interest that was on there was removed, or they just won't see it on there at all, given that it was just pulled off. So I'm not sure how the software company actually was able to do that, but they were directly told no longer to, during this transition period, to charge the interest on any late fees and to remove any interest charges that had been applied.
Thank you.
All set, Counsel?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Excuse the customary thanks. Thank you for appearing.
Make a motion to refer it back to sponsor.
Motion made and second to refer this item back to sponsor. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. Please revert back to the normal order of business.
Item number 2, Mr. Chairman, is an order offered by Councilor Richard J. Delasola. Item number 1, Mr. Chairman, is an order offered by Councilor Richard J. Delasola, Jr. as President, that the Everett City Council hereby approves Sergeant Joseph Gaff as a sworn waiter for the City of Everett for a 1-year term expiring March of 2020.
Favorable action.
Second.
Motion made for favorable action on this piece. Suspend Rule, sorry. Motion made to suspend Rule 20. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Motion made for favorable action on this piece.
So moved.
All those, please have the roll call.
Yep. Counsel Capone.
Yes.
Counsel DeFlorio.
Yes.
Counsel DePiero.
Yes.
Counsel Hanlon.
Yes.
Counsel Matusky.
Yes.
Chairman McKinnon.
Yes.
Counsel McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counsel Napolitano. Counsel Simonelli.
Yes.
9 yeas, 0 nays, you have confirmed. Counsellor Marchese. 10 yeas, 0 nays, you have confirmed the appointment for Mr. Gaff. Item number 2.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Suspend the rules and take items 2 and 3 collectively?
Motion made to take items 2 and 3 collectively. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Item number 2, Mr. Chairman, is an order offered by Counsel Richard J. Delasola Jr. as president. In order to accept Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 64G, Section 3DA as follows, imposing upon an operator of a community impact fee of not more than 3% percentage of the total amount of rent for each transfer of occupancy of a professionally managed unit that is located within the city of Everett. Item number 3 is an order to accept Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 64G, Section 3DB as follows, imposing upon an operator a community impact fee of not more than 3% of the total amount of rent for each transfer of occupancy of a short-term rental unit that is located within a 2 or 3 family dwelling that includes the operator's primary residence in the city of Everett. These have not been codified by the state, but these are going to be the sections, so that's why I didn't use a session law.
Councilman DePiero.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was a bit confused when I first read these, but I was interpreting them wrongly. I thought it was more of a linkage fee type of thing, but after talking with yourself and the clerk, this is more of a way to regulate, track Airbnb, because we don't really know where they are. It's always been a major concern of mine. I had one on my street. Who's coming in and out of your neighborhood on a very transient basis. I think this is a way to put a little bit of dough in the city coffers and regulate these places, so I would move for favorable action.
Thank you. Councilman Napolitano.
Thank you. I'm looking for some clarification, because I really don't understand this. What is constitute an operator? The landlord? And is it, what constitutes short-term? I own a 3-family house. I live in the 3-family house. I've got tenants that have been there for years. I've had to absorb every tax increase that we've had to give, and I've not had the ability to raise my rents to be able to stay competitive. So where and how does this apply? I don't have an understanding of this, and for that reason, I'd like a more detailed explanation. I would motion to send this to committee, because I want to know a little bit more about this before I vote on it. And right now, I don't know enough about it. Just because the state says we can do it, doesn't mean that it applies, and I need to know how this applies. So my motion is that we send this to Business and Development.
Actually, I have other speakers on this prior, and there's actually attorneys here if we need to. So, Councilman Capone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know what the body wants to do. If it wants to send it to committee, that's fine, but my concern is I want a little more clarification as well. I was actually going to move to postpone to the next meeting and have someone from the administration come and explain it. So I would make that motion.
Okay. There are 2 motions on the floor.
Councilman McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think Attorney Latanzi has come forward this evening and ready to talk to us. He's come to the front of the room.
Mr. President,
hoping to speak.
Just for the record, the motion has been made to send this to 2 different committees. I'll postpone it. Now, if we're going to have somebody come up and discuss it,
we're not going to be sending it to the committee.
It doesn't make sense here.
Yeah.
You know, let's do it all in one, wrap it up in one meeting, either the Business and Development Committee meeting, or postpone it to the next meeting when we can ask, get all the questions. Did you say the mayor or somebody was going to be here? No. Business and Development is really where this should go. This is the bed and breakfast law. I don't know much about it myself, but, you know, anytime you tax a homeowner, we've got to know what we're voting on. So I seconded the motion to send it to Business and Development. Is that the committee? Right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to I don't see us talking about it tonight and then doing the committee thing. It just doesn't make sense. And call for the question, right.
I just want to clarify something. Didn't we already have this in front of us?
We had the
We had an
Airbnb,
ordinance of Airbnbs and
Right.
short-term rentals, right?
and the final piece the final portion of that was to accept a 3% mitigation. The only way to formally do it is in this process. All this money does is the 3% that goes on short-term rentals, which are Airbnbs, if that's what you like to call them. And that 3% goes back completely, not to the city's coffers. The mayor has decided that the 3% that he is going to, that comes in, goes to affordable housing. So it's an extra 3% for a community impact fee that goes directly back to affordable housing. So the money comes in through, that's actually paid directly to the city of Everett, unlike the 6% for the hotel, which goes through the state and funnels through the DOR. This money gets directly paid to the city of Everett, and it is up to the administration, the council, how much we wanted to put, but we agreed that if we were gonna do the whole 3%, the entire 3%. But the only way to do it is to accept these session laws, which are now general laws. That's the only way we can accept it. If you don't accept it, you can't get the fee, and you can't apply it to affordable housing. That's what these are. I drafted this, along with our attorneys. It's the same language that's in the law. I didn't write my own thing. I just copied the law.
But we did have it in front of us as far as the
We passed it, and we
Airbnbs all
agreed
that stuff.
it was in the
We
bottom of
already
the
passed
Airbnb
that.
ordinance,
So this
correct.
is only to add the 3% to it.
Correct.
Okay,
The
and
6% 's already
okay.
included.
Thank you.
Motion made and seconded.
Items 2 and 3, correct? Councilors?
Motion made to have items 2 and 3 go to the Committee on
Community Business
Business and
Development.
Community Development. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. Please read item number 5.
Item number...
Mr. Chairman, can we take 5 and 6 collectively?
Yes. Motion made to take items number 5 and 6 collectively. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Item number 5, Mr. Chairman, is a petition offered by Council Richard J. Delasola Jr. as president that the Everett City Council hereby approves the Class 2 motor vehicle dealer license renewal for Malden Auto Repair and Sales at 80 Tremont Street. Item 6, excuse me, is that the Everett City Council hereby approves the Class 2 motor vehicle dealer license renewal for White's Auto Sales at 79 Vine Street. Yep. Just waiting for our chairperson.
5 and 6, yeah.
Okay.
What's the favorable action?
Yeah,
Papers
5
are
and
in order.
6.
We took them collectively?
Yep, they're taken collectively, all papers are in order.
Move for
everything's
favorable
been
action.
paid.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded for favorable action on
Mr.
items.
Chairman? Mr. Chairman, can we
Council
take one
Capone?
vote for each and have our clerk record it accordingly?
Motion's been made and seconded to have one vote cast in the affirmative and the clerk record accordingly. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those
Roll call.
opposed?
Yeah, I still got to do, Counsel
Okay.
Capone.
Yes.
For both pieces. Counsel DeFlorio.
Yes.
Counsel DePiero.
Yes.
Counsel Hanlon.
Yes.
Counsel Marchese.
Yes.
Chairman Matusky.
Yes.
Counsel McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counsel Napolitano.
Yes.
Counsel Simonelli.
Yes.
And that would be 9 yeas, 0 nays. You have passed both orders.
5 and 6.
5 and 6.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a
Vote in
motion to
favor.
take item number 8 and 9 off the calendar collectively, please?
What happened to 7?
Motion's made and seconded to take 8 and 9 collectively off the agenda. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Item number 8, Mr. Chairman, is a petition offered by Counsel Richard J. Delasola Jr. as president, that the Everett City Council hereby approves an open-air parking license permit for A.G. Quayle Towing at 26 Garvey Street. Item 9 is that the Everett City Council hereby approves an open-air parking license permit for A.G. Quayle Towing at 5254 Robin Street.
Councilman McLaughlin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, through you to our city clerk. Mr. Cornelia, do you have any communication from community development on these, by chance? I believe these need to go to the zoning board of appeals before
No,
they,
they're not new. These have been in existence.
renewal.
They're renewals.
Okay. Talking with Tony Souza this evening, I was under the understanding that they need to go.
No, I know which one he was talking about, and I'll explain that one when it comes before us.
Okay.
Number 11.
I thought he
But
said all.
he wasn't wrong, but just not these pieces.
Okay, not these ones. Okay, thank you.
Councilor Capone?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could we have one vote be cast for items 8 and 9, and have our clerk record it accordingly?
Motion been made and seconded to have one vote cast in favor of items number 8 and 9, and the clerk record accordingly. All those in favor? Aye. Clerk will call a roll.
Counsel Capone.
Yes.
Counsel DeFlorio.
Yes.
Counsel DePiero.
Yes.
Counsel Hanlon.
Yes.
Counsel Marchese.
Yes.
Chairman Matusky.
Yes.
Counsel McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counsel Napolitano. Counselor Simonelli?
Yes.
9 yeas, 0 nays. You have passed both orders, Counselors.
Read number 7.
Items
We
8
skipped it.
8 and 9 have passed favorably.
Yep.
Clerk, will we
7.
go back to item number 7?
Item number 7. Excuse me. Item number 7, Mr. Chairman, is a petition offered by Council Richard J. Delasola Jr. as president, that the Everett City Council hereby approves the renewal for an auto body repair license with changes for Accurate Collision at 36 Mystic Street.
Refer to CBD?
Refer to Community and Business Development. A second on that motion? Motion's made and seconded to refer item number 7 to the Committee on Business Development. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it.
I think it's item 11, right, Mr. Chairman?
Item number 11, I believe, huh?
Item number 11, Mr. Chairman, is a petition offered by Councilor Richard J. Delasola Jr. as president, that the Everett City Council hereby approves a new open-air parking lot license for affordable auto at 1739 Revere Beach Parkway. Please note that the committee recommended this unfavorably. This would have been the piece that would have went to Tony Souza. This was recommended
Councilwoman
unfavorable.
DeFlorio on item
Thank you,
11.
Mr. Chairman. On this piece, this is on Revere Beach Parkway, right near the coffee shop, Common Grounds, and it's a house where they knocked down, and they want to put cars there. I mean, we just voted to change that area, so the committee, committedly, everybody in the committee voted no on this. So my recommendation is that we all vote no on this. We're changing that area.
How many cars were they planning on parking there?
6 or 7, I believe.
I might have been 8, but
8.
I would have the petition before me. No, actually, I'm lying. It's 11.
11. But they
That's
already
the
have a
most they could
spot.
fit.
It's not like we're taking anything away from them. They already have a spot on the other side behind White Auto Body. Is that?
Yes, they
behind
own, they own the body shop, which is also, serves as a motor dealer and body shop there, repair, mechanical.
Okay, so the motion is, motion's made and seconded to accept the committee report. All those in favor? Aye.
Motion for favorable action.
Motion for favorable action on item number 11.
Counselor Capone.
No.
Counselor DeFlorio.
No.
Counselor DePiero.
No.
Counselor Hanlon.
No.
Counselor Marchese.
No.
Chairman Matusky.
No.
Counselor McKinnon.
No.
Counselor McLaughlin.
No.
Counselor Napolitano. No. Counselor Simonelli.
No.
That would be 10 yeas, 0 nays. You have, 10, 0
nays.
nays, 10 yeas. 10
Motion
nays.
has failed.
You have
Item number 11 has not been approved. Denied.
Correct.
Item number 12.
Item number 12. Mr. Chairman, is a resolution offered by Councilor John Leo McKinnon that Senator DiDomenico and Representative McGonigal update the City Council on medical cameras in ICU for patients entering ICU after serious complications after a medical issue.
Councilman McKinnon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I spoke to both Representative and also the Senator. They called me actually today prior to the meeting and said that they need more additional time. So they're asking for a month, so I'd like to postpone this for a month.
Second.
And with that motion, I'd also like to know, with them, to actually get some explanations and then feedback, so when they come, they can come before us and actually speak on the item. So postpone for 1 month.
Motion's made and seconded.
And the information.
To postpone this piece and ask State Representative McGonigal and Senator DiDomenico to provide information regarding their
Second motion.
information on this piece. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Excuse me, item number 15. Mr. Chairman, is a resolution offered by Councilor Stephen Simonelli that his honor the mayor or someone from his office appears at the next Government Operations Committee meeting to explain why the city took away 19 public parking spots in the Everett Square parking lot behind the post office for city-owned vehicles. The council referred it to the administration to see if they would move the vehicles now that they were allowing people to take it home, if they were going
Okay,
to
Councilor
allow them
Capone
to
on the
take it
piece?
Thank you, Mr.
place from
Chairman.
somewhere.
Through you to the clerk. Did
I
the
have
mayor
no
respond?
communication.
Okay. So this is the third time.
Yeah.
We're going to ask the mayor to respond to the fact that we have 19 cars that are going home, and the concern that this council had that you're going to put more wear and tear in these vehicles, et cetera. Rather than the written response, why don't we invite him to come personally? So at the next meeting, let's have the mayor here personally, not a member of his staff, he himself personally, to come here and explain why he thinks it's a good idea to bring 19 cars home every night.
Councilman Simonelli is the sponsor, through your
Second.
interpreter. Do you have anything on this?
Second the motion.
Second the motion.
Motion's made and seconded to invite the mayor to actually appear and explain the 19 parking spot issue. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Next order of business, item 17.
One moment, please.
Chairman, could we, could I put in a motion to take 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21 collectively?
Sure.
Motion's made and seconded to take items 17, 18, 19, and 20 collectively,
And 21.
21.
and 21.
But he's already
All
voted.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Favorable action, Mr. Chairman.
Counselor,
You gotta read them.
item number 17, Mr. Chairman, is an ordinance offered by Counselor Richard J. Del Sola Jr. as president. An ordinance updating the flammable product storage license ordinance to use the new standardized procedures for license issues by the city council. 18 is an ordinance updating the garage license ordinance to use the new standardized procedures for licenses issued by the city council. And item 19 is an ordinance updating the permit on or over the public way ordinance to use the new standardized procedures for licenses issued by the city council. Item 20 is an ordinance further documenting the standardized procedures associated with lodging house licenses. 21 is an ordinance further documenting standardized procedures associated with licenses and permits issued under the authority of the city council. Please remember that we do have to vote on these separately because they're ordinances and that they are up for ordainment. I have already posted them legally in the newspaper, so you can't because they're ordinances and they're separate. I would say no.
Oh, my.
Yeah, I would say no. On item number 17, Counselor Capone.
Yes.
Counselor DeFlorio.
Yes.
Counselor DePiero.
Yes.
Counselor Hanlon.
Yes.
Counselor, Chairman Matusky.
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Napolitano.
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli.
Yes.
9 yeas, 0 nays, you have ordained the ordinance. Item number 18, Counselor Capone.
Yes.
Counselor DeFlorio.
Yes.
Counselor DePiero.
Yes.
Counselor Hanlon.
Yes.
Counselor, Chairman Matusky.
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin. Counselor Napolitano. Counselor Simonelli.
Yes.
9 yeas, 0 nays, you have ordained the ordinance.
Item 18 is passed.
19, Counselor Capone.
Yes.
Counselor DeFlorio.
Yes.
Counselor DePiero.
Yes.
Counselor Hanlon.
Yes.
Chairman Matusky.
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Napolitano. Counselor Simonelli.
Yes.
9 yeas, 0 nays. You have passed the ordinance. For item 20, Counselor Capone.
Yes.
Counselor DeFlorio.
Yes.
Counselor DePiero.
Yes.
Counselor Hanlon.
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Napolitano. Counselor Simonelli.
Yes.
8 yeas, 0 nays. You have passed the order. 21, Counselor Capone.
Yes.
Counselor DeFlorio.
Yes.
Counselor DePiero.
Yes.
Counselor Hanlon.
Yes.
Counselor Marchese. Oops, sorry. Chairman Matusky.
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Napolitano. Counselor Simonelli.
Yes.
That would be 9 yeas, 0 nays. You have passed item 21.
Is that it?
That's all.
That's all. I just want to remind the members on the Ways and Means Committee meeting on behalf of our chairman,
Oh, no, we have I'm sorry. We do
Ways
have
and
two
Means-
pieces.
we have 2 more pieces?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Counselor. I thought you meant for those pieces.
Oh, okay.
Item 22.
We have 22 and 24 left.
Oh, 22 and 24.
Yep. Item number 22, Mr. Chairman, is a resolution offered by Councilor Rosa DeFlorio that the city services trim the branches on trees that are under 6 feet at the request of several residents.
Councilwoman DeFlorio.
These trees, I don't know, 4 feet, 5 feet, I'm not that tall. And I've lost 2 umbrellas. I'm glad I haven't lost my eyeball. But this morning it was pretty good because at least it woke me up. You know, I was tired, it was raining, and the tree hit me in the head, so I was fine by the time I got to the bus stop. But these trees need to be trimmed, and it's not a joke, I shouldn't make a joke out of it. They need to be trimmed the entire city. It's not just Dyer Ave, it's not just Beacon Street, it's not just Clark, it's the entire city. So they should make this a priority. Every April, every spring, or every fall, to cut the trees back. I mean, they were the wrong trees put in, whatever the excuse is, they need to be trimmed. So my recommendation is to send this to city services, and I want something in writing our next meeting to see what their plan is. They don't have to come up, just have them to give it to me in
Send it
writing.
right.
All right, thank you.
Motion made. Anybody else on this piece? No. Councilman McLaughlin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I thought last year we were told that they were going to go for an RFP and be able to put this out across the city, because I had brought it up as well as many other members, and I thought they had already requested an RFP, and I'm just wondering where they stand in that procedure, if that has happened or not. So I think this is some answers that we worked on last year. Hopefully they'll have some.
Well, just to fill, I did have a conversation with the mayor and the arborist several months back. There are hundreds of dead trees in the city, or dying trees, and that was because of the butchery done by the cable companies. What they've done to some of these beautiful trees is embarrassing. I wouldn't want one in front of my house, but the motion was made and seconded to refer this to city services for a report back as...
Yeah, so it's just, they're going to act on it and send you a letter.
report on the smaller trees that are hitting pedestrians' eyes and causing a public safety hazard. All those in favor? Aye. All
And
those
the final
opposed?
item on the agenda, Mr. Chairman, is item 24. It's a resolution offered by Councilors Fred Capone, Michael McLaughlin, John Leo McKinnon, Peter Napolitano, Richard J. Delasola Jr.,
can
Michael
add me to
Marchese, Stephen Simonelli, Rosa DeFlorio, and John F. Hanlon. That going forward, the mayor and the chief of police notify the council of any significant issues affecting the city of Everett or its residents in an expedited manner.
Councilman Capone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Without relinquishing the floor, I do want to extend the option to the chair and to Council DePiero to add on. I did reach out, but unfortunately, time got in there. So if you want to be on the piece, I'm more than happy to amend it to include both names.
Motion's made and seconded to add Councilman DePiero and Matusky to this piece, making it unanimous on this resolution. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Councilman Capone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the piece itself, it's a recurring issue that we've had, that we need to have better communication with the administration. Usually it's something that's more minor in nature, like a business opens or rededication, or there's some sort of a plan that is rolled out, and we find out about it for the first time when we read it in the newspaper. As elected officials, kind of think we should be a little bit more involved with the process. Like I said, those are less serious issues. The reason for this piece is the recent tragedy that we had here in the city with the stabbing up on Bradford Terrace and up at Bradford Street. We had one incident, and then 10 days later we had another. And I understand that any kind of criminal investigation is very sensitive, and you don't want to unnecessarily alarm residents. But in a situation like this, what would have happened is there would have been a heightened awareness if there was a robocall or some sort of communication, or if somehow the council was instructed that there's issues going on, you could talk to people, neighbors, say, look, just be careful, keep your eyes open. Now, it may not have stopped the second event, but at least people would have been a little more heightened. Awareness would have been a little more heightened. We could have been a little bit more on guard, and maybe that tragedy could have been avoided. Maybe it wouldn't have been. But with situations like that, in anything that seriously is going to have an impact on the safety of our residents, we as elected officials should know about it. Now, I don't expect someone to pick up a phone and call 11 people. There's many different ways we could do it. If it's something that the neighborhood should know about it in general, robocall. We have done robocall for less significant issues. Something like that is huge. And then if it's an issue that isn't as emergency in nature, but is something that we should know about, a contact to the president, and then the president could notify the body. I think that, you know, as elected officials, we do have a function. It is important that we're involved in the process, anything that affects the residents of the city. And so I ask that we refer this over to the mayor's office and to the chief of police with a response back for the next meeting.
Okay. We have two other speakers on this right now, Councilman Hamlin and then McLaughlin.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to second the motion also, but I just want to point out too that, you know, it's extremely embarrassing to the councils that when someone says, did you hear that the building fell down? And we say, what building?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the point, you know, and people say, well, what are they serving for if they're not serving us? And that's the whole problem. And I don't want to be in charge of investigations. I don't want to know who the person is or anything like that. I want to know that something happened and the police or the fire department or the building department or someone is investigating it. That's all I want to know. I don't want to know any more. And what Councilman Capone said was absolutely correct, so that's why I second that motion. Thank you.
Councilman McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would also echo the comments of my colleagues. I think that it's really important for all of us to be on the same page with communications going forward. Unfortunately, we had a very serious episode happen of a decent man lost his life. Unfortunately, somebody that I knew and for a long time. We'll just try to work with better communication to notify the neighborhood or the neighbors of issues like this that we saw. I'm not sure what we're looking for a response from Councilor Capone with the administration, but I'd like to see some written procedure or something in place that we're going to all know how this communication is going to happen. If it's going to be somebody in the administration calls all of us, if it's going to go through the president, whatever that process is going to be, I'd like to see what it's going to be so that we understand what it is, so we can expect ex-employee or council president to call us, or however that's going to transpire. I'd like a written response in writing to the procedure that will go forward, so we know what to look for going forward when something happens. So that would be part of my request to send to the administration, that they respond in writing what the procedural looks like going forward. Thank you.
You invited them back here, didn't you, with a response?
Oh, I see.
Just written.
So the motion is to refer this to the mayor and the chief of police.
And it's consistent with what Councilman McLaughlin said. We're looking for a response back on how we're going to move forward, you know, next.
Right. If there's a significant issue, as has been stated in the press, that there's a slasher in the city of Everett, we as a city council should know about it. I happen to know the gentleman that was murdered on Bradford Terrace for the last 10 years. A hard-working guy, nice guy, mind his own business. I don't know the other victim, the first victim, but this guy was walking down a residential, nice neighborhood, one of the nicest streets in Everett, and he was stabbed in the back, I understand. So this is something that we all should know about, especially with the casino coming in. We as a city government, as Councilman McLaughlin brought out earlier, if I make a call to the police station, I want results. I got news for you. I don't know about anybody else. And if the police don't show up, there's a problem there. But I have pretty good success rate in the last few years. But anyway, the motion is to send this to the mayor and the chief, letting them know that this city council would like to be informed of any emergency situation that may arise. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, could I make a quick public service announcement, if you indulge me?
Absolutely. Councilman DePiero.
Thank you. I just want to let the residents at home know that there is a career resource center open at the old high school now. Residents can use the Maple Ave entrance at the old high school for help with job searching, resume building, career pointers, stuff like that. And that's at the old high school once again, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. They're open from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and on Wednesdays from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Thank you.
Very good. That's nice to know, Councilman. And for the members on the Ways and Means Committee, Councilman McKinnon, that is to do with the Wellness Center on April 16th at 6 p.m. for those interested.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.